Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are discussing from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So this is text 19 of chapter 2 of Aadi Lila, 2.19. Ananta Sfatike Yaiche Eka Surya Bhase Taiche Jive Govindera Amsha Prakashe Ananta Sfatike Yaiche Eka Surya Bhase Ananta Sfatike Yaiche Eka Surya Bhase Taiche Jive Govindera Amsha Prakashe Taiche Jive Govindera Amsha Prakashe Ananta Sfatike Aiche Eka Surya Bhase Taiche Jive Govindera Amsha Prakashe Ananta Sfatike Aiche Eka Surya Bhase Taiche Jive Govindera Amsha Prakashe. Please chant. Ananta Sfatike Aiche Eka Surya Spatike Aiche Eka Surya Bhase. Okay, word meaning? Please repeat after me. Ananta, unlimited. Sphatike, in crystals. Yaiche, just as. Eka, one. Surya, sun. Bhase, appears. Taiche, just so. Jive, in the living entity. Govindera, of Govinda. Amsha, portion. Prakashe, manifests. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. As the one sun appears reflected in countless jewels, so Govinda manifests himself as the Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. Purport. The sun is situated in a specific location, but is reflected in countless jewels and appears in innumerable localized aspects. Similarly, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although eternally present in His transcendental abode, Goloka Vrindavan, is reflected in everyone's heart as the super soul. In the Upanishads, it is said that the Jiva, living entity, and the Paramatma, super soul, are like two birds sitting in the same tree. The super soul engages the living being in executing fruitive work as a result of his deeds in the past. But the Paramatma has nothing to do with such engagements. As soon as the living being ceases to act in terms of fruitive work and takes to the service of the Lord, coming to know of his supremacy, he is immediately freed from all designations. And in that pure state, he enters the kingdom of God known as Vaikuntha. The Paramatma or super soul, the guide of the individual living beings, does not take part in fulfilling the desires of the living beings, but he arranges for their fulfillment by material nature. As soon as an individual soul becomes conscious of his eternal relationship with the super soul and looks only toward him, he at once becomes free from the entanglements of material enjoyment. Christian philosophers who do not believe in the law of karma put forward the argument that it is absurd to say one must accept the results of past deeds of which he has no consciousness. A criminal is first reminded of his misdeeds by witnesses in a law court, and then he is punished. If death is complete forgetfulness, why should a person be punished for his past misdeeds? The conception of the Paramatma is an invincible answer to these fallacious arguments. The Paramatma is the witness of the past activities of the individual living being. A man may not remember what he has done in his childhood, but his father, who has seen him grow through different stages of development, certainly remembers. Similarly, the living being undergoes many changes of body through many lives, but super soul is always with him and remembers all his activities despite his evolution through different bodies. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunivadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is very amazing because we are discussing Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. First let us start by offering obeisances to the holy Navadvip Dham. Gauro Brahmana Yatra Hari Swabhaktahi Sankirtana Prema Bharena Sarva Nimajyati Ujjvala Bhava Sindho Tama Shri Navadvipam Aham Bhajami. So I worship the holy land of Navadvip, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with his associates, roamed around very freely, distributing love of God to one and all. In this Aadi Lila, this is how the breakup is. Just to give a little overview of how the Aadi Lila itself is divided. Because you see, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he takes permission and he is actually requested by all the devotees of Vrindavan to write about the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Those pastimes which are not covered by Vrindavan Das Thakur in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So then Krishnadas Kaviraj, and we can see that therefore the emphasis in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is post-sannyas pastimes of Sriman Mahaprabhu. And you will see that in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, then there are so many initial pastimes, all the Balya Lila, Kaishora Lila, there are so many different pastimes that are there in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, the focus is on the latter part. In fact, even in the Aadi Lila, which is supposed to be the initial pastimes, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in summary explains towards the last part. Aadi Lila can be divided into three parts. In the first part is Chaitanya Tattva, wherein the Tattva behind Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explained, wherein the reasons for his appearance are mentioned, what is his personality are mentioned. Then and even about Lord Nityananda, Advaitacharya, the Panchatattva, the Tattva is mentioned. Then ahead, the second part which is there of Adi Lila is Krishna Prema Maru Taru, the transcendental tree of love of Krishna. So there the story comes of how the author receives the order that to write, that Mahaprabhu is bestowing rare prema bhakti on everybody. So then all the Vrindavan devotees, they request Krishnadas Kaviraj to write. And then the description comes about the Chaitanya tree. How the branches of the tree, Lord Nityananda, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Pandit, then sub-branches are there, which are the devotees in Jagannath Puri, in Navadvip, even in Varanasi. These are all the sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. This is the second part of Chaitanya Charitamrita, of Adi Lila. Third part, or part C, is early pastimes of Mahaprabhu, the first 24 years, which is the Janma Lila, which begins from that how Advaita Acharya is calling out to the Lord for his appearance, understanding the disturbing situation in Kali Yuga, and then the many associates of the Lord who took birth before him, who came before him, they are mentioned. And then how the Lord on Falgun Purnima day, he appears amidst a lunar eclipse, he appears on the planet and he spreads the prime benediction for this age, Harinam Sankirtan. Balya Lila, then followed by, wherein the name-giving ceremony of the Lord, Nilambar Chakravarti comes, the Lord's pastimes of eating dirt, his pastimes of teasing young girls, astonishing his parents. So these are the pastimes in Balya Lila. Next is Pauganda Lila, which we see. There Nima is education, Vishwarup Sannyas, and the Lord's marriage. That is discussed. Ahead of that is Kaishora Lila, followed by Pauganda Lila, then there is Kaishora Lila, where the Lord tours East Bengal, his meeting with Tapan Mishra, Lakshmi Devi's disappearance, and the Lord's marriage to Vishnupriya. And finally it ends with the encounter with Keshav Kashmiri. So this is Kaishor Lila. And then finally the last part of Adi Lila is Yauvan Lila, wherein the Lord's mercy on various devotees. The Lord is very merciful. To Shukrambar Brahmachari, he explains the Hare Nama verse in detail. That is one aspect of his mercy. The pastime with Gopal Chappal and transformation of Chand Kazi. And even pastimes in Shrivas Angan. So that is the beginning of the Sankirtan movement, which concludes at Mahaprabhu taking sannyas in Katwa. So this is Adi Lila. And what we are discussing here, the current chapter, the name is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we find so many Shastric references and proofs in this chapter by which it is established that how the Lord is the Supreme Personality. So how is this? So in the beginning, Krishnadas Kaviraj is describing about Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yadgyana madvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabhyate. The three aspects of the absolute truth. Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. He is describing. So today's verse is about that. Paramatma feature of the Lord. So this is going on in this beginning of this chapter. And ahead, it is established that how Shri Krishna is superior to Narayan. And how how the Lord is the source of all incarnations. In this chapter it comes, Lord Krishna is the ashray and abode of everything, of everyone. And Lord Krishna's Swarupas and Shaktis. And this chapter concludes in the final verses by establishing how Sri Chaitanya is the supreme absolute truth. So that is the division of this particular chapter. Now in this verse, today's verse, so this is an example, an analogy given by Krishnadas Kaviraj. He says that the sun appears in countless jewels. The sunshine is reflected in jewels. When you go out and if one is wearing diamonds or if one is wearing jewels, so there is a reflection of the sun. The sun is also, in this way, he is present. So in the same way, Govinda manifests himself as Paramatma in the hearts of all living beings. So this is the verse. How the Lord as Paramatma. Upadrishta manta cha bharta bhokta maheshwara paramatmeti chapiyukto dehesmin purusham para. This is what he does, his function of Paramatma. Upadrishta Anumanta, what does he do? He is an overseer and permitter. So this is some aspect of philosophy we find in Bhagavad-gita, comes repeatedly. Vedeshcha sarve raham eva vedyo vedanta veda videva chaham. So in that verse also Krishna says how he is present. Sarvasya chaham ridisanni vishto matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha. How Krishna is Paramatma, right? This is what we see. He establishes that even in the Bhagavad-gita, and he says what his functions are. Both these aspects are described by Srila Prabhupada in this purport. Prabhupada explains that how Krishna, what does he do? He doesn't interfere with the desires of the living entity. And Prabhupada even gives an example of different theories that people concoct. Just like there has been very famous, there are books. You see that in any book section, any bookstore, there are so many books which are written under the category of self-help. Self-help is a very popular section. And there is one book which came a while ago, but it was very famous. That book was called The Secret. And this secret, not only in the English language, this is famous. Even in Hindi, the aspect of the secret is very famous. This book says that if you desire something very strongly, then the entire universe will work in such a way so as to manifest your desire. This book says like this. And in Hindi movies also we find this comes so much. अगर दिल से इच्छा किया तो सारी कायनात लग जाएगी आपकी इच्छा पूरी करने में. You heard of this before. So this is the same philosophy that if you desire something strongly enough. So Prabhupada here he explains this, that how this is incomplete. Because if only desiring is everything, then I can always desire to become a very rich person, to enjoy always. But does it happen? The laborer on the street desires to be a crorepati much more than the crorepati himself. But why doesn't he become? Because there is an aspect of karma which the Paramatma checks. So we may have a desire, but then the Paramatma checks whether we have the karma or not. SriSriRadhaRasbihariTemple ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki. So Prabhupada explains here that how the living entity desires. All of us have this free will to desire. Ichha Shakti. Krishna is unlimited, but we have some part of it. So Ichha Shakti, we desire. We can consciously desire also. That is up to us. Now Paramatma, Krishna, he is present in our heart as Paramatma. He doesn't force us anything. He doesn't force. We choose our desires. We choose to cultivate our desires also. What he does is that he checks and he permits if the karma is there. For example, if somebody wants to become a millionaire, so then Paramatma checks within the heart. He checks that whether this person has that appropriate karma to become a millionaire. Now, if he has, then Krishna will see that he'll make enough arrangements. Paramatma makes arrangements by which one goes towards that destination. If one does not have the karma, then Paramatma sees to it that he puts this soul into such situations by which he will perform such pious activities so that he gets that required karma, so that one day he can become a millionaire. So in this way, it's a long process. But in any ways, Paramatma is the one in control. It is Krishna who is in control. Karma phal pradata is Krishna. For the devotee, he doesn't need to worry about fulfilling material desires separately. Why? Because akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaridi tivrena bhakti yogena yajita purusham padam. If you just perform bhakti yoga, Krishna fulfills all desires. Not only the Bhagavatam says that, but so many places in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also, as we are discussing Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see in the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we find this comes again and again. How the Lord fulfills the desires of his devotees. One such pastime is the Mahaprakash Lila. Mahaprakash Lila, this was one time wherein the Supreme Lord, for 21 hours continuously, he fulfilled the desires of his devotees. 21 hours. Normally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to act normally as a devotee. He's in the mood of a devotee, so he's performing Sankirtan for the pleasure of the Lord. He's showing an example, setting an example. Shiksharthakam eva purusha. He's come for teaching. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's the best teacher. Krishna is the Lord in the Bhagavad-gita. He's a theoretical speaker. He says surrender. How to surrender? That is shown by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu is always in the mood of a devotee. Sometimes in his pastimes, he used to forget himself and act as if he is the Supreme Lord. But then immediately afterwards, he used to again come back to devotee consciousness. And then if the devotees are offering worship to him, he used to say, Vishnu, Vishnu, Vishnu. Chant Hare, don't chant my name. But this was one time in the Mahaprakash Lila, which is elaborated in the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, that the Lord for 21 hours, he accepted all the worship. Not only accepted, he demanded it. So, long Abhishek. So, what happens is in Srivas Thakur's house, the Lord in Kirtan, he sits on the Vyasasana. Sometimes he used to do that. He used to go and sit on the Deities' throne. He used to go and sit. Then he used to come back again. This time he sat on the throne and ordered everyone sing the Abhishek mantras. Perform Abhishek. So the devotees who are always waiting for such an opportunity, Srivas Thakur, Advaita Acharya, Lord Nityananda, so they were waiting for such an opportunity. So all of them, they get pots from Ganga water. And they start performing Abhishek. And so many of these confidential associates, they all come, get so many pots, fill up so many pots with Ganga water, and they are performing Abhishek of Gauranga. Nityanand Prabhu starts. He chants Jai Jai and he's performing Abhishek of Lord Gauranga. Mahaprabhu says, chant Purusha Sukta. And the Advaita Acharya and Srivas Thakur, they take their pots, they are performing Abhishek and they are chanting Purusha Sukta. Sahasra Shirsha, Purushaha Sahastraksham, Sahastrapad. So in this way they are chanting and they are performing Abhishek. Lord is enjoying. And so are the devotees. Because the devotees, they want to serve the Lord. They always want to serve Lord Chaitanya in this capacity. They want to worship him. But the Lord never accepts worship. But this was one special time. So this time, so he is accepting the worship. Now even the Chaitanya Bhagavat describes that even the demigods, they came in disguise to perform Abhishek. Because it is mentioned that even a drop of water that is offered at the Lord's lotus feet, even in meditation, has the power to stop one's Yamraj darshan. If one is supposed to have the darshan of Yamraj, he will not get the darshan, even if one offers in meditation a drop of water at the Lord's lotus feet. So what to speak of the great fortune of the devotees who were present there physically, personally bathing the Lord. What to speak of their fortune. All the servants and maid servants in Srivas Thakur's house also, they went to get pots filled with Ganga water. Mahaprabhu was so pleased. There was one maid. Her name was Dukhi. But she was performing this service with so much of devotion and so much of ecstasy. Mahaprabhu became so happy. He renamed her on the spot. Now your name is not Dukhi, you are Sukhi. So they performed the Abhishek ceremony of the Lord. They dried him. They ornamented him, dressed him with fresh clothes, covered his body with sandalwood paste, and then they performed the arati ceremony. They offered Tulsi Manjaris at his lotus feet. All the great devotees, Mahaprabhu's associates like Advaita Acharya, they fell with prostrated obeisances, chanting prayers to the Lord. Now Mahaprabhu, after this, he shows even more ecstasy. He wants to accept more worship. He puts his hand out and said, give me something to eat. So all the devotees present, they rush here and there, getting whatever is there in the house to offer it to Mahaprabhu. Quickly the supplies get over. The description is there, what all they bring. They bring milk preparations, sweets, moong. They bring coconut water. Some of them brought Ganga water also. Mahaprabhu is taking that also. Bananas. These are all available freely. You go to Navadvip in Mayapur, this is all available freely. Banana trees, they used to just take from bananas and they are offering to the Lord. Buttermilk, they are offering to the Lord. Supplies are over. Devotees go to the market and buy whatever they can and they are offering to the Lord. So this is going on. They say hundreds of yogurt preparations, hundreds of sweet preparations, condensed milk, branches of bananas. This is all being offered to the Lord. Now after this, Lord is very happy, satisfied. And then he starts mentioning each devotee, calling each devotee by name and narrates the details of their past life. This is how Mahaprabhu proves that he is Paramatma. He knows the details. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna, he says, Arjuna, you and me have taken many births. You don't remember, but I remember all of them. What is the proof? This is the proof. So now Mahaprabhu, he tells Srivas Pandit, oh Srivas, you remember how at Devanand Pandit's house you were hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. And the pure devotee that you are, you felt so much ecstasy that you fell unconscious. And neither Devanand Pandit, because he is not so advanced, neither all his students could understand your position. And they picked you up and put you outside the gate. And you were unconscious, you didn't even know what happened. But when you woke up and you saw yourself lying down on the street, you were sad. But you got up yourself and you left. Oh Srivas, you remember? It was me. I came from Vaikuntha and entered you. And I gave those ecstatic emotions by which you were crying incessantly by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. It was me who gave you that experience, Srivas. And Srivas is just crying, because he remembered that experience did happen. Mahaprabhu, he looked at Gangadas. He says, Gangadas, you remember that night that you were running away from the Muslim soldiers? You remember? You know who I was? I came as that boatman whom you pleaded. You told me, Gangadas, that you can have all this money. Just save me and my family. And Gangadas, it was me who took you across the Ganges. You remember? And Gangadas, he's crying. He's in ecstasy. How Mahaprabhu remembers. It was him. This is how the devotees were realizing, they were understanding that this is how the Lord personally intervened in their lives. Then suddenly, the Lord remembered Sridhar. Kholavicha Sridhar was one of the favorite devotees of the Lord. So the Lord told his devotees, go get Sridhar. Now Kholavicha Sridhar, he used to make a living out of selling bamboo leaves, bamboo cups. So he used to buy, banana leaves and banana cups. He used to buy banana stock and then he used to sell, he used to make a living by selling this. Mahaprabhu used to have such ecstatic pastimes with him. Every day, without fail, he used to go to Sridhar and he used to argue with him and fight with him and get his banana leaves for free. So he remembered, Sridhar has done so much service. He told his devotees, go get Sridhar. He must be in his house. Now also we go on Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, you see Sridhar's house. Sridhar Angan is behind, it's in Rajapur, behind our temple. Devotees went. They went to find Sridhar. Sridhar had such a reputation that the neighbors, the atheistic neighbors thought that this Sridhar, he doesn't make enough money. And so in the night also, because he out of hunger pangs, he's shouting and crying in the night also. He's so unsatisfied. They didn't know whole night he was doing Nam Sankirtan. So they felt that he's poor, so poor. The devotees, they were moving towards Sridhar's house. And they were searching, where is Sridhar? They thought maybe if he's not there in the house, would he be in the marketplace? Where would he be? But halfway they reached and they saw that Sridhar, they heard. Halfway they reached and they heard Sridhar shouting and loudly chanting Hare Krishna. Loudly chanting Mahamantra. So they understood he's here only. They went to Sridhar and told him, Sridhar, the Lord of Lords, Sriman Mahaprabhu is calling you. And Sridhar faints there, unconscious. The devotees, they gently pick up Sridhar and take him to Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu, in front of Sridhar, so Mahaprabhu he had such nice teasing pastimes. He used to tease Sridhar. He says, Sridhar, look at the devotees of Chandi Devi. Why don't you become a devotee of Chandi Devi? You are a worshipper of Ganga. Whatever you earn, half of it you are giving in the worship of the Ganges every day. And half of it you are using for maintenance. Prabhupada actually mentions also in these purports that this is very ideal. Giving 50% of whatever we earn in the service of the Lord and then using 50% in personal maintenance. The Lord is mocking Sridhar. He says, see, you are so poor. Why don't you become a devotee of Chandi Devi, Sridhar? And Sridhar is saying, see, the Lord is very merciful. By Ganga Devi's mercy, you see, whatever I need, I have. I don't need anything more. In this, Sridhar is countering Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu says, Sridhar, I know you have a big fortune hidden in your house. I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to find out, I'm going to catch you and I'm going to tell everybody that you are hiding a big fortune in your house. Sridhar invited Mahaprabhu to his house. There is nothing in the house. It's completely poor. Mahaprabhu saw that there is a big pumpkin there. He said, this I am going to take. This is your fortune. I'm going to take this and I'm going to cook this and I'm going to eat this for lunch. So that also Mahaprabhu stole. On a daily basis, there used to be argument. So Mahaprabhu used to tell Sridhar, because Sridhar was very honest. So he used to sell his banana leaf plates at the right price. No bargain, because it was at the cheapest price, cost price. He used to just sell, hardly used to get anything. The Mahaprabhu used to say, you are very expensive. It's very expensive. You should give me all of this for half price, otherwise I am not buying. So Sridhar used to say that, no, you can go. There are other sellers also. Why don't you go to them? There are other leaf sellers also. Go to them. So Mahaprabhu said, no, but Sridhar, I really like you so much. And then he used to take all these leaf plates and he used to start moving, start running away, stealing, literally. Sridhar used to catch Mahaprabhu, saying, stop, where are you going? And then Mahaprabhu used to say, Sridhar, say, I really like these leaf plates. Do this service. You are doing so much service for Mother Ganges. Why you cannot give me this for free? Give me this for free. Don't you know that I am Brahmin? In this Mahaprabhu, this way he used to mock Sridhar. They used to have these pastimes every day. Sridhar didn't understand why, but whenever he used to look at the Supreme Lord, Gaur Sundar, who used to look extremely effulgent and resplendent in his golden form, with his dhoti tied up in, tucked in 3 places, with his long curly black hair. When Sridhar used to see this beautiful form of the Lord, he didn't know why, but his heart used to melt. And then he used to give away. Whatever the Lord used to ask for, he used to just give away. All this service was recorded by Mahaprabhu, and in this Mahaprakash Lila, he reminded Sridhar of all the service that he has done. And he asked Sridhar, Sridhar, today I am going to bestow on you the 8 mystic perfections. Anima, Lagima, Prapti, Prakamya. So I am going to give you all the Ashtasiddhis. Sridhar, ask for a boon. Ask for a boon, O Sridhar. And Sridhar, the pure devotee he is, he offers prayers, beautiful prayers. He says, my dear Lord, many times you told me that I am the source of the Ganges. And I used to think that you are just an arrogant Brahmin. But now I realize that I could not see you in that form. I could not understand that it was actually you who are the source of the Ganges. Mahaprabhu says, Sridhar, tell me some boon, what I can offer you. What do you want? Say. And Sridhar is saying, my dear Lord, let me be your banana leaf seller life after life. Let me have this opportunity to serve you life after life. This is an example of pure devotional service. How the devotees of the Lord, they don't ask for anything else. Prahlad Maharaj, when Narsingadev asked him, what do you want? Prahlad Maharaj says, I am not a merchant, I am not a trader. That I'll do some devotional service for you and then I'll take in return. So here Khola Vicha Sridhar is such an example. He says, I want to be your Khola Vicha, life after life. I want to sell you banana leaf. I want to do this service for you. And the Lord is so pleased with Sridhar. Then the Lord called Murari. He called Murari Gupta. So Murari Gupta is Hanuman. So the Lord showed him the darshan of Ramachandra. He told, hey Murari, this is me, your worshipable Lord Hanuman. See, this is Lakshman here. See your worshipable Mother Janaki. She is right here. So in this way, the Lord is giving special darshan to Murari Gupta. And Murari Gupta fell down in ecstasy. Vishwambar, Lord, the Supreme Lord is calling. He's saying, hey monkey, you forgot how you set ablaze Ravana's city. How you put on fire Ravana's city. You got your face burnt. I am that same Lord. And you are again in my presence. Rise, O Murari. You are as dear to me as my own life. I am that Ramchandra and you are Hanuman. Lord Chaitanya's words, it brought Murari back to consciousness. And he began to cry. Vrindavan Das Thakur says that Murari's ecstatic crying, it can move even lifeless dry wood. What to speak of the assembled Vaishnavas. Mahaprabhu asks, Murari, ask me for a boon. So Murari says, my dear Lord, grant me just one wish, that I may just sing your glories. I may be put into any situation, but by birth after birth, I simply want to remember you. And I may serve you in the association of your servitors. Please give me Bhakta Sangha, life after life. This is what Murari Gupta asks for. Tadera charana se vibhakta sane vas, janame hoy ei abhilas. So these are the associates of Mahaprabhu. They just ask for more and more Bhakta Sangha. If we analyze even in the greatest prayers in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we name it Prahlad Maharaj, or be it Dhruv Maharaj, or be it Vritrasura also. All of them only ask for Bhakta Sangha. They ask for association. Again and again, they ask for advanced association. So Mahaprabhu says, yes, Murari, I grant you this boon. And all the devotees are Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So Murari, Sridhar, Gangadas, all these devotees have got their desires fulfilled. They are crying in front of the Lord. And the Lord is chewing betel nut. And then he called Haridas. Haridas Thakur. He says, Haridas, your body at birth is superior to mine. In fact, your class is also more elevated than mine. Now it is interesting because Murari Gupta, Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan family. Mahaprabhu is, in this way, he is glorifying his devotees. He is saying, you are much more elevated than me. He says, hey Haridas, you were whipped. In those 22 marketplaces, you were lashed and you were whipped. At that time, I had already sent my Sudarshan to kill all your tormentors. I had already sent. But you were praying for the deliverance of those who were attacking you. You were praying out of compassion for them that they should be delivered. So what could I do? I had to call Sudarshan back. So in this way, the Lord is glorifying Haridas. What is the extent of Haridas's compassion? The ones who are inflicting pain on him, he is praying for their deliverance. He is praying to the Lord for mercy on them. These are the devotees of Mahaprabhu. These are those qualities by which Mahaprabhu, he becomes sold out. And then we see such beautiful pastimes and interactions. The Lord is telling Haridas, I was going to kill them. You are praying for them, so I couldn't do this. And they're beating you, which I cannot see. So I stood there and I took all the beatings for you, Haridas. And he showed all the markings of the whips on his back to Haridas Thakur. Because even the Mohammedans, those who were whipping Haridas in these marketplaces, were astonished that normally a couple of 5-6 marketplaces and a person doesn't survive. How is it that Haridas survived 22 marketplaces and is still not dead? How? So even all those who were tormenting him, they were surprised. But the reason was because Mahaprabhu was taking that himself. He was taking all those lashes upon himself. Mahaprabhu says that although there were different reasons for my coming here, one of the reasons by which I came fast is because I could not bear to see your pain, Haridas. Mahaprabhu says. He tells Haridas, Advaita Acharya understood your position. He understood, and therefore he has bound you. We go to Shantipur, there also we find in Advaita Acharya's house, right next is Haridas Thakur's Bhajan Kutir. He used to live there. Because Advaita Acharya knew the greatness of Haridas Thakur. When Haridas Thakur heard about how the Lord had done this special deed of saving him, of taking all the lashes on his back, he lost consciousness, immersed in ecstasy. Mahaprabhu saying, wake up, and see my opulent manifestation to your heart's content. Special darshan is being given to Haridas Thakur. And he's manifesting all ecstatic symptoms, rolling on the ground, drooling, Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is saying, I am most sinful wretch. He's praying to the Lord in utter humility. He says, I don't deserve all of this. Mahaprabhu says, you say whatever you want to say. There is nothing I do not want to give you. And what does Haridas pray for? Haridas asks, he says, I want Mahaprasad of the devotees. Haridas Thakur. He says, I want the Mahaprasad. He says, all these devotees who are completely surrendered to your lotus feet, give me the remnants of them. That's what I want. This will be success of my life, if I get the remnants of your servitors. So this is Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur says, my dear Lord, please be merciful to me and keep me as a dog in the house of a Vaishnava. Haridas Thakur pray. Lord Chaitanya says, my dear Haridas, you are such an elevated Vaishnava. If someone spends only one day associating with you, if someone even speaks to you only for a short time, that person will achieve me. There is no doubt about this. Whoever respects and serves you will achieve me because I always eternally reside within you, Haridas. This is Mahaprabhu's affection towards Haridas Thakur. He says, Haridas, you have imprisoned me within your heart. He says, I bless you that you will worship me till the end without any single deviation or offense. So all the devotees were so happy and ecstatic that Haridas got so many nice benedictions. They started saying, Haridas is like Prahlad Maharaj. Somebody said, Haridas is like Lord Brahma. In this way they were glorifying Haridas Thakur, who is an eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. Then Lord Chaitanya calls on Advaita Acharya. He says, Advaita Acharya, you remember once you were trying to understand the verses in Bhagavad-gita and you decided to fast because you could not understand. Just see the quality of the devotees, We are struggling to have taste in, reading Shastra and relishing Shastra. Devotees like Advaita Acharya, of course he is Mahavishnu, but is still setting an example. He chose to fast because at the end of the night he was unable to understand the purport of certain verses in Bhagavad-gita. He says, till the time I will not understand the meaning of these verses, I will fast. So he is fasting. Mahaprabhu, he cannot bear the devotees undergoing so much austerity. So he came in Advaita Acharya's dream and he is explaining the meanings of Bhagavad-gita verses to him. Mahaprabhu tells Advaita Acharya in this Mahaprakash Lila, he tells him, Advaita Acharya, you remember, I came, you understood the meanings, then you ate. I fed you, Advaita, I fed you. He used to call him Nada. Nada, I fed you. Then he said, but there was one verse which I did not explain. I will explain now. That shloka was Sarvatah Pani Padam Tad. Sarvata Kshi Shiro Mukham. Sarvata Shrutimal Loke Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes and face. He hears everything. In this way, the super soul exists. So this shloka of Bhagavad-gita. So now Mahaprabhu is telling Advaita Acharya, this I am explaining now, listen. So when Advaita Acharya, he heard this explanation which was so dear to him, he was so overcome with ecstasy and happiness, he began to weep. He said, I am unable to say anything. It is just my great fortune and glory that you are my Lord and Master. Thus Advaita was also merged in ecstatic bliss. Suddenly Lord Chaitanya asked, he just raised his hands and said, everyone look at me. Ask me any boon that you want. So this now he became open. First he only took some devotees who were his special devotees he took. Sridhar, now Advaita, Haridas. Now he tells everybody, whatever you want you ask. So everybody came. Somebody saying, my parents are not devotees. My son is not a devotee. Please make them devotee. And Mahaprabhu is giving benedictions freely. So this was Mahaprakash Lila. He granted everyone's boon. Now there was one devotee who was outside the room. He was not inside. He did not come. That was Mukunda. Mukunda was all the time he was outside. He did not have the courage to appear before the Lord. The Lord is Paramatma. He knows everyone intimately. So nobody else was able to understand why the Lord is ignoring Mukunda and he's not calling him, because he was calling others. And they all could not understand why Mukunda also didn't come. So they were feeling sad about Mukunda. Srivas Pandit asks, what offense did Mukunda commit? What offense did Mukunda commit at your lotus feet that he is deprived of your mercy? He is your singer. He sings for you. He pleases you. Why you are not being merciful unto him? If you see some fault in him, you give him correction. But why are you keeping him away? So this way Srivas, he's on behalf of Mukunda, he's requesting the Lord. The Lord said, don't speak to me, don't preach, don't plead to me on behalf of that wretched Mukunda. He's saying this fellow is a hypocrite and he's a pretender. And everybody shocked, saying, why is Mahaprabhu calling Mukunda? He sings Kirtan all the time. Why is he calling him a pretender? Mahaprabhu said, you all don't know who is Mukunda. Because when he comes, he approaches, he is a perfect example of humility. He will come with folded hands and he will be very humble. He will come with a straw in his teeth. But the next moment he will strike with an iron rod. This is Mukunda. So all the devotees were confused. What is the meaning of this strike with an iron rod? Mahaprabhu said, this Mukunda, he will go and he will discuss Mayavad philosophy. He will read from this book Yoga Vashishta with Advaita Acharya. Advaita is speaking, he will speak personal philosophy. This Mukunda will speak on behalf of impersonal philosophy. Anybody who speaks Mayavad is like striking me with an iron rod. That is this Mukunda is a hypocrite. That is why I don't call him. So in this way Mahaprabhu is explaining. Mukunda heard everything outside. And he also heard that he will not be able to see Lord Chaitanya. So he felt, now what is the use? I cannot see the Lord. Let me finish, give up this body. So then Mukunda, he tells Srivas Thakur. He says, oh Srivas, please tell me, will I ever see Lord Chaitanya again? Will there ever come a day wherein I'll get the darshan of the Supreme Lord? The Lord replies directly. He tells Srivas, sometimes this is such sweet exchanges. Mukunda is present, but he is not talking to Mahaprabhu. He is telling Srivas, but Mahaprabhu is hearing. And Mahaprabhu is replying to Mukunda, but he is talking to Srivas. He is saying, Srivas, tell him. Mukunda is right here, but he is saying, tell him that let him go through another 10 million births, then he can see me. 10 million births. Let him take. Then he can see me. When Mukunda heard this, he was in ecstasy. And the devotees could not understand because the Lord said 10 million births. So the devotees are but Mukunda is in ecstasy. He's dancing, he's jumping. He's saying, I will get it. I will get it. I will get the mercy. I will get darshan. He's saying. So he's acting like this. So when Mahaprabhu saw this, he saw Mukunda dancing. He ordered, bring him to me immediately. So the Vaishnavas, all the devotees got Mukunda there. Mukunda didn't hear anything. They were trying to first get Mukunda. Come. Mukunda is in ecstasy. He's dancing. Why is he dancing? Because he's so happy by the fact that he has hope that even after 10 million births, he will get the darshan of Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya said, "Oh Mukunda, all your offenses, they are condoned. Come see me, receive my blessings. All your offenses are nullified now. You lost your wealth of devotion because you had bad association. But now, again by your loving devotion, you have conquered and you have indebted me. I said that after 10 million births, you will have your desire fulfilled. But when I said that, you immediately pushed away all your previous doubts and offenses. You had so much faith in my words that now you have bound me eternally in your heart. You are my singer, and you will always remain with me. All this time I was making jokes with you because of our intimacy." So he says, your body is 100% full of bhakti towards me. And I perpetually reside in your tongue, he tells. He says, Mahaprabhu gave benediction to Mukunda saying, whenever you will sing, I will be present there. Whenever you will sing, I will present there. So when he says, he gave the blessing that all the Vaishnavas' hearts will melt when they hear your songs, Mukunda. And just as you are very dear to me, amongst my devotees also you will be dear. So in this way, when the Lord showered his blessings, the entire assembly became very, very happy. It is said, Krishnadas Kaviraj, this is Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says, anybody who hears this pastime of the Supreme Lord benedicting Mukunda will get the benediction that he will become an associate of Mukunda as a singer. So, what is the great fortune of Srivas Pandit? That all these pastimes happened in his own house. And the Lord is reciprocating with each devotee personally. If somebody wanted to see some incarnation, he is blessing them, he is showing them. There was one devotee who received extraordinary mercy. And that was Narayani, niece of Srivas Pandit. The remnants of the Lord's food went to her. And this innocent little niece of Srivas Pandit, she gave the remnants. She ate the remnants with joy. And the Vaishnavas blessed her that she was the most fortunate because she had the remnants at such a young age of the Supreme Lord. And after Narayani had eaten, Mahaprabhu said, Narayani, let me hear you cry for Krishna in ecstasy. And such was the influence of the Lord's words that she immediately cried out, Krishna, Krishna, and began to weep. And this pastime came to be known to all the Vaishnavas for all time. And she became famous as Narayani, the one who ate Lord Chaitanya's remnants. This Narayani Devi, she became very famous later on, also as the mother of a very great personality. She was the mother of Vrindavan Das Thakur, who was the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. So this is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanandau Sahoditau Gaudadaye Pushpavantau Chitrau Sandau Tamonudau. The Chaitanya and Nitai, they are like the sun that is coming out in the horizon, who have come to dissipate the darkness in this dense darkness of Kali Yuga. The more we hear the Supreme Lord's pastimes, Gaurange Ramadur Lila Jara Karne Praveshila Ridayo Nirmala Bhelotar Ridayo Nirmala Bhelotar. The more we hear the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the heart melts. Somehow in our material life, we become so hard-hearted. And our dealings become so full of impersonalism, so full of envy and insensitivity. The more we try to practice the four qualities that Mahaprabhu has preached to us in the Shikshashtakam, which are humility, tolerance, giving all respect and not expecting respect, the more we become qualified to relish these pastimes, and even the quality of our interactions can also become as the same as what are mentioned in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande hai.